Hello healers! Today I wanted to release a build that I've been testing and refining for PvE dungeon content. This build has very high burst healing potential while remaining efficient with mana due to some awesome passives. I'll also tell you guys what I recommend for attribute points in dungeons, gear, and effective secondary weapons. So make sure you stay tuned until the end to see how to be an insane dungeon healer all around. Hope this helps you guys out as you get started with all the dungeons while leveling. Please like and subscribe if you like my healing content. I have a lot more coming. Also, I stream on Twitch, so come hang out and chat with me live if you have any questions. A link for that and my community Discord will be in the description below. Alright, so I'll dive right into the life staff abilities for this build. The very first active skill I take is Divine Embrace. I absolutely love this skill in dungeon content because of its low mana cost and its ability to heal more than one target. Healing consistently at 150% of weapon damage allows you to consistently keep groupmates alive. I've gotten a lot of questions asking why I don't take Light's Embrace for my dungeon runs. And while the instant cast of that skill is amazing and it can heal a lot if your target is buffed up, I find it synergizes with other skills better and is too mana hungry for intense boss fights. To that extent, I enjoy Light's Embrace much more in PvP and open world scenarios. Divine Embrace heals a flat 150% of weapon damage, which when stacked with passives, gear, and focus attribute points, this skill packs a punch as an emergency single target heal. I take the first two passives for this skill, both to reduce the mana cost of the skill to 20, and to allow this skill to heal another target for the same amount if the target I'm healing is below 50% health. I find this procs all the time when my group is taking massive damage, and getting 2 burst heals for the cost of 1 is amazing. I don't take the last passive, Rebound, since I find it's a bit too situational to proc that often. The next active skill I take is Sacred Ground. I can't say enough great things regarding this skill, especially in dungeon content. It's an AoE ground heal that when combined with its 2 passives, Holy Ground and Blessed, works to recover stamina and mana rapidly while greatly boosting any other healing you do inside it. Putting this heal under your tank is often enough healing by itself to keep them up. And if they need extra healing, you can throw Divine Embrace on them, which is enhanced by Sacred Ground. All around, this skill synergizes amazingly with everything in your kit. The last skill I grab is Beacon. This is another AoE heal that can either be put on the ground or attached to an entity, allowing it to move with your group if you attach it to a groupmate. The biggest advantage for this skill over Sacred Ground is that as your team is moving between mob packs or away from boss mechanics, this skill can move with them. In high damage situations, you can also stack your 2 AoE heals together for massive healing output, which feels amazing, especially during mob packs. And now for passives. Passives are honestly what turns your kit from doing decent healing to insane amounts of healing, so pay close attention. I take the first 2 passives for Beacon, Infuse Light and Radiance's Blessing to extend the heal radius and also make the skill last longer, letting it do overall more healing. In the Protector tree for passives, I take Bend Light so that when I dodge, my heals are 20% more effective. This is awesome because in low danger and high danger situations, you can utilize your dodge for that extra healing output. I take Protector's Strength for a nice 10% heal boost for every buff I have, so make sure to stand in your own AoE heals as well and stock up on food buffs. I take Spirits United for a great little group-wide boost of mana regen, and Glowing Focus to make my buffs last longer, which synergizes with my heal boost from giving buffs. On the healing side for passives, I take Absolved to ensure no light or heavy attacks I do cost mana, allowing me to put all of my mana into healing output. I also take the passive that branches off of this one, Blissful Touch, turning my light attacks into a nice little heal that you can use to fill in the gap sometimes. If I get to a dungeon that requires it, I'd also take Mending Touch for that nice cleanse with heavy attacks, but it hasn't seemed necessary so far. I take Revitalize, which is actually one of the stars of this kit. Every light attack you do reduces your cooldowns by -5%, and you can spam this. By just light attacking mobs or bosses, you can very quickly take the cooldown off both Sacred Ground and Beacon, and doing this alone can double your healing output. I would add a disclaimer that you should only be doing this in your downtime when you don't need to help cleave with your offhand or in emergency situations when you need big AoE heals up fast. The next passive I take is just as important as Revitalize, because when you utilize it properly, you have a permanent 30% healing increase while using your life staff, which is huge. This passive is Intensify, giving you up to 3 stacks of 10% healing through heavy attacks. I've tried this out a lot, and you can get your stacks up to 3 for the 30% boost, and then you can make sure to hit 1 more heavy attack before the timer runs up to keep up with the 30% boost indefinitely. Keeping an eye on this, especially in boss fights, will help give a substantial boost to your healing output when you need it. However, these stacks do go away when you swap to your secondary weapon, so use the extra healing before you swap over. I also take the passive Sacred Protection to increase my base healing output by 5% more when holding a life staff. And now the final passive in the healing tree, Divine Blessing, which allows you to heal an ally for 30% more if they're below half health. This is absolutely amazing and allows for burst healing when you need it most. And on top of that, this synergizes perfectly with Divine Embrace if more than one of your allies are below half health, because they'll now both be healed for 30% more with the Shared Struggle passive. Alright, and now for the attribute points. There's really 2 ways you could go for optimal healing here. The first way is what I recommend if you're using a melee weapon as your secondary weapon, which is to put 50 points into Constitution and the rest into Focus. This will still allow you to grab that extra 20% healing at 150 Focus without sacrificing extra survivability, which is great. If you're using a ranged weapon like Ice Gauntlet and feel pretty confident about your awesome dodging capabilities, meaning you don't take much damage anyway, you can just stack all of your points into Focus. I personally run at least 50 Constitution in dungeons since I primarily use melee weapons, and I like the extra health cushion to rely on. Remember, a dead healer is often a wipe. For gear weights, it can again go one of 2 ways, light or medium gear. I don't recommend heavy gear even if you are in melee, just because you're losing out on the heal percent increase. I personally run medium gear, again for the survivability and the extra 10% healing output. I also often run hammer as a secondary weapon, and this helps make my CC skills on mobs more effective. Light armor is also an amazing option for that 20% heal boost, especially if you're ranged. Since you are pretty squishy in light armor, I would make sure to keep a close eye on enemy attacks and your own dodging to use this gear weight optimally and avoid wipes. And finally, for secondary weapons, I would recommend either Great Axe, Ice Gauntlet, or Warhammer. I have a secondary weapons video with builds for these too, so be sure to check that out. Those builds work great in dungeon settings as well. Now hear me out for my weapon choices. As a healer in a dungeon setting, you really want to be able to quickly swap to your offhand to give utility or crowd control that helps keep your team alive and do damage before swapping back to heal them. With Great Axe, you are amazing at helping your tank group mob packs together with Gravity Well and Reap, which helps the overall run go by much faster since your group can cleave faster. With Hammer, you have 3 crowd control skills that allow you to stop most mobs from doing damage for a period of time, which is amazing because you can allow your whole party, including yourself, to do DPS without even worrying much about healing. With Ice Gauntlet, you're efficiently giving out crowd control with slows and damage with Ice Pylon. And Ice Pylon is especially helpful on boss fights because it does damage while you're stuck healing with your life staff. This weapon is also ranged, so you don't need to worry about getting as close to melee boss attacks and can focus more on healing. And don't get me wrong, you can still clear dungeons with other offhands. These are just the 3 that I think give you the most utility and crowd control as a healer that really helps you fill in that supportive role in dungeon content. I hope you guys found this dungeon guide helpful and that you can now tackle any particular dungeon that was giving you problems. I'll have healer guides for both Starstone and Depths up pretty soon, so stay tuned for those. I'll catch you guys in New World.